Hello, I'm going to be talking very briefly about my opinions on the aftermath of the Senate vote to reopen the government of the United States. For those who do not know, the government of the United States has been shut down, and it's primarily because the way the government gets funded is that the people in power have to agree to reopen the government. So they get together, collude with one another, and they're like, okay, guys, we actually want to run the American government, so we have to pass a budget. That budget has been not passed, such that it's caused a lot of economic instability. With as regards to our transportation industry, our commercial aircraft industry, people missing flights because there's workers aren't getting paid as there is no budget to pay them. There is no incentive for them to come to work. That means less people are coming to work, which means there's less people who can safely manage the airplanes, and that means less airplanes are arriving at airports, more delays, slower economic activity, and that's just one way that the government shutdown has impacted people, outside of the very real fact that it has reduced their people aren't getting paid in the government, so they're not getting wages. So that's another aspect of it. But I'm obviously not going to be focusing on the entire government shutdown. If somebody would like me to go further on that, I will do a my due diligence to go further in depth, but that's not the purpose. The purpose here is to just talk about the Democratic, what would you even call it, referendum, capitulation, sellout. There's a lot of words you can use. The Democratic concession to the Republican Party to open the government. Now, normally, from the average person, this would normally seem to be fine, as the people in power should want to agree to fund the government, agree to run the government, and there should be no real issues with this. However, there the opposition party to the Democratic Party voted in support of a bill that would cause healthcare premiums for Americans to more than triple in costs, meaning people are not going to be able to afford the health care that the American government is supposed to be subsidizing. Very big problem if over 24 million people are being impacted by this legislation. So, in response, the Democratic Party decided to say, we are not going to pass this in the Senate. In the U.S., to pass bills, you need to pass it through the national government, the federal government, the legislative branch, through both chambers of Congress, the House of Representatives, and the not Congress, the Senate. And to pass legislation with the majority, you have to in Senate, you have to pass it with a wide majority, even more than the 51 vote total. So this is the Democrats' leverage. The Republicans are unable to break through the Democrats' policy. The Democrats' budget block. They can block the budget in the Senate. It's a lot easier to block it. So they decided to block the legislation and say, we want to fight for people's health care. And it's time for people to fight back against our glorious president who is doing things that nobody should be doing that are unconstitutional. And nobody likes it. Now, yeah, that's true. All that's true. So, very recently, they decided to vote on the same resolution. They've voted on the resolution several times already, and the Democrats have continued to not pass it. But the Republicans reintroduced the bill again, and really unmodified, and the Democrats decided to just pass the legislation. Now, to the average person, this should seem to be very confusing because you have the opposition party that is saying that the other opposition party, the party in power, a is problematic, is breaking the law, is condemning many people in the country to lower healthcare coverage and whatnot. So why would they just agree to pass the same resolution that they seemingly opposed? Well, it's not the entire story. I didn't say the entire story. In fact, the party in power who proposed the legislation, they agreed to talk about the consequences of healthcare coverage in the future. In the future. So, they seem to be very interested in, you know, dealing with it, when people are, dying, I guess, or, and, that's just, doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, and this has been a very big confusing moment for a lot of people as the Democratic Party, especially in California, has been trying to uh, try to sway politics in their own favor by trying to seize more political power through using the government to favor their politicians. Now, it makes no sense to me why they would do something which is so unpopular. While it is true that the government shutdown is affecting a lot of people, it is also true that people view the national party, or not national, the the party in control of the government as responsible, the Republican Party, to be responsible for the government shutdown. And they essentially conceded to passing the legislation that they opposed with no real guarantees for the future. There's not really much really to defend this. Um, the people who voted against it were people who weren't up for re-election, and uh, seemingly in really weeks, and really weeks after, or not even weeks. I mean, like less than 2 weeks after passing their after winning major elections, after it seemed that they were popular, they were doing something right. Who knows? I mean, actually, we do know. People are very confused as to why the opposition party would give up their only leverage over the ruling party in the country. And to me personally, like that's just me explaining the issue. But I'm gonna talk about my thoughts here. I guess I mean, it's pretty shameless to me. Um, after they finish their election results, there's no elections for major candidates soon. So after winning their elections, they decided to just concede and do something extremely unpopular. I mean, it would seem to me that they only care about their own political power, and I do think that when they were, trying to increase their political power by by winning those elections, I do think that they were, that was their kind of main goal. Their goal was to basically, the way I think about it is, their goal was to win elections, but their goal was not to be popular, but their goal was to also win elections. So it would beg the question as to why, if they do want to win elections, why do they also not want to be popular? Well, the problem is that the Democratic Party is captured by corporate interests, and they're serving on behalf of those corporate interests. And they have the very basic desire to maintain a system of complacency where they do not challenge their donors, as they are those are the people that are getting them reelected. So they don't want to be popular, but they want to win elections, but they don't want to do what is necessary to win elections, which is be a hindrance on the engine of capital accumulation in the United States. And it's a big issue, and I think many people, they should look at this as a sign that the Democratic Party is, one, very morally bankrupt. They have no standards. Their so-called opposition was tantamount to just them postering up as the opposition when they just gave up without really any meaningful changes. And to me, it's pretty sad, especially considering the fact that the other opposition, the ruling party in the country, is very serious about their lawless actions, their private military, or not private military. That's kind of misleading. The ruling party has been using the national government to, in various illegal ways, especially when I think of uh, government government figures like ICE, the Immigration Custom Enforcement, that has been rounding up American citizens and illegals, I guess. I mean, there's no way to tell if they are illegal if they don't do a proper investigation with a proper warrant. So really, they're just grabbing anybody that they think is brown and Mexican and talks like a Haitian or whatever. So they're using, though the opposition, the ruling party, is using their power and leverage to commit lawless actions, and also not even including the fact that the opposition party has been equipping their immigration's custom enforcement with ballistic missiles and chemical weapons. Now, to I would think that it would be hard to justify buying these armaments for detaining and getting rid of, protecting American people. Why do federal, well, they're not even law enforcement. They're kind of just, I don't know what they are, but they're fucking not law enforcement. They don't fucking follow the law. Well, federal, god damn it. Why is it that federal agents are being equipped with military, wartime armaments and carrying out these lawless actions with impunity, while the opposition party can't even muster up a lick of courage to challenge the illegal actions of the ruling party. So, I think that that's just food for thought. I mean, you could think about that. Like, think about what is the purpose of the political establishment? Why is it that the opposition party is not putting up a bigger fight against the ruling party? I think the corporate donors' interests and wanting to be a opposition without putting pressure on your donors whose interests you're serving is a pretty key point. But I would also say it's also that they just don't care about average people, and that it's just a political game to them to gain support and be popular, or to seemingly be popular while they do something that is very unpopular. And if you want me to go over the future of the government shutdown, I mean, it's not completely set in stone whether or not the next chamber of the uh, national government will pass the legislation. It has been passed in the Senate, which has been the main road to blockading the passing of the health subsidies cuts. So we'll see, but if you want me to do more content like this, I will do it in the future. But these are my thoughts. Thank you for watching. If you want me to cover something like this, please ask again. Yeah, I mean, have a good one.